Right. The teens are asking where we are, so I just had to quickly get back to them. Here we go again. I'm sorry, everybody, for those issues. Connectivity there was very bad, and so we had to cut. And so, just as a disclaimer or a word of caution, if it cuts now and we cut and we're gonna have to reschedule, and we'll do it another time, and we'll revert back to Zoom. But let's see how we go right now. So Unique, thank you so much once more for being here with us. And for those of you who might have missed our initial session, yes, we see. Okay, we ready to rock and roll. Thank you, my friend. I see Beauty says she's here. Thank you, my friend. So for those of you who have missed it, Unique was busy initially telling us about who she is and where she's from, and basically what inspired her. And she was sharing, the people in the media industry who have inspired her, the people who actually made the difference in who she is today. But what I want to pick it up from Unique is you mentioned how you were inspired by Oprah, how you were inspired by Nolene, women from opposite ends of the world, if I may call it that. I mean, and what lessons did you pick from those women? And I want to bring it, home to our teens who, because today, and I was so excited to have this TeenVersation with you, because a whole lot of people want to get into media. A lot of people, I'm an educator, and just last week we were talking about careers, and a lot of people want to be YouTubers, and they want to, do it for the money and for all those things. Now, before we get there, can you tell us about, what inspiration from these two women, and what really inspired you about these two women from opposite worlds? Did you see them as that? And really, what about those women? Okay, will you just tell us about that?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Zandi, for that. Hello, everyone, again. I think I want to go back, because the thing is, when I link media, I go back to my initial passion, which was development work. And I so often, in my field of media, I so often have discussions with policymakers. And I'll give you a good example. Last week, Zandi, I was having a conversation on democracy. Is it attainable, within different spaces, within different countries? And one interesting aspect that I got from one of a human rights activist and an economist, they were saying, sometimes you have to pick from both worlds, So yes, the Western has a way of dealing with their democracy, and then Africa has to have a way of dealing with their democracy. They are lessons to be derived from both worlds, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So, for example, Nolene had the African context. She was bringing in people with realities that I could obviously relate back with, because, it's in an African context. And then we had Oprah. She is all the way there, but her stories made a lot of impact. Her stories changed lives. So I had to pick from both worlds, using the African context, and then also going back to, the other platform, the Oprah show, and saying, okay, the way she sort of designs her programs, her set looks amazing, how she communicates. So it was basically just picking different lessons from both worlds. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. So different. Now, here's a young person wanting to get into media. What are some of the, what is the advice that you want to give that young person? Now, I want to take into account that, you're a young person from an African country, from Zimbabwe, to be specific. And you were actually mentioning how for you, it is about real issues, real people, and wanting to look into those and make a difference. And we want here at TeenVersations to raise young people who will want to make a difference and an impact with their careers and their lives. What advice would you then give to that young person who says, I want to get into media, I want to find a career in media, and I want to find my footing, what advice would you give to that person?
Good question, Zandi. And I think so often, not only am I a documentary filmmaker or a producer or a digital content strategist, but I'm also the programs manager for one of the largest digital radio stations, digital TV and radio stations in
Yes.
Zimbabwe, Heart and Soul Radio. And so often, we have these interns, these young people that are vibrant because we're a young station. And I
Mm,
so often ask them, why are you here? And, it's
mm,
so important to ask your why in life. Because, I
mm,
mean, just relating back to the word of God, we were all created for his glory,
mm,
and I am a Christian, and I truly believe that if you understand your why as a young person, you're able to soar and, of course, make the impact that you're actually supposed to make. So first of
mm,
all, for a young person, I
mm,
think I always want to sort of humanize um, these steps so that they don't seem technical or they don't seem too, booky, to
mm,
the
mm,
point that sometimes a young person will be like, oh no, we see that in the books
mm,
or as motivational talk.
mm,
For me, I think the first step or asking myself, why do I really want to get into media?
mm,
I
mm,
think that's very important. Do you just want to be seen by people on TV? Do you want the 100,000 likes? What
mm,
exactly? Why are you entering the TV industry? And
mm,
unfortunately, a lot of young people can't answer that. Or they're just like,
mm.
I just really like talking and I just want to be
Yes.
seen. I mean,
Mm,
for
mm,
me, I have lots of young people that I mentor around me, and I always say, if it's not going to change someone's life, and if it's not going to communicate for change,
mm,
drop it. You know,
mm,
um,
mm, mm,
every day or every other day, when I go live on Facebook, when I have a TV program, when I'm creating a concept, a TV or radio concept, I'm asking myself, how is it going to make Zandi feel? Um,
mm,
in media, and
mm,
I think in any industry, really, emotions are
mm.
our currency. And how will it
Yeah,
make a
sure.
person
Mm,
feel?
mm,
um this month is, suicide prevention awareness month,
mm,
and we
mm,
had a lot of cases in Zimbabwe where
mm,
we have young people committing suicide
mm,
over
mm,
different issues, and we're asking ourselves why and what is the solution. So the first
mm,
thing I think for me is, why do you really want to get into the media industry?
mm,
And I can tell
mm.
you, for me, Sandy, it was about communicating for change. Okay,
Sure,
it was about
sure. Mm,
changing someone's perspective about
mm,
something they were completely ignorant about. And now they're like, oh my gosh,
mm,
I
mm,
really didn't know that. So
mm,
I think that's the first step. Why do you want to get into the media industry? What sort of difference or impact do you think you'll be able to make as a young person? Secondly,
mm,
we
mm.
all know
Thank
this,
you.
that
Mm, mm, mm,
the media industry is male dominated. And I think this is for young women. I usually don't like
mm,
segregating,
mm,
but I do know that,
mm,
for women, we
mm,
have to work twice as
mm,
hard to get to where we are.
mm,
I can
mm,
tell
mm,
you that when I started my journey on being an independent producer on one of the Broadcasting Corporation of Zimbabwe, a lot of people
mm,
asked me, how are you going to make it? Do you think you even make it on prime time, let alone them taking your content? Maybe you'll need to
mm,
sleep with someone. Who did you sleep with?
mm,
All these
mm, mm.
questions.
Ish.
Yeah,
Mm,
all these
mm,
questions came about. And, at the end of the day, I can tell you that it was hard work, quality content. So a lot of
mm,
people, and this is a thing, I know my team, I manage a production team, and they're like, oh
mm.
my gosh, she's here at work. Because I want the job to get done in the
Mm,
best way possible so that a person can really
possible. Mm,
understand the sort of content that we're trying to bring out. So I made sure
mm,
my content
mm, mm,
was on point. Secondly,
mm,
I tried to get the best stories through the grace of God. I would pray, Zandi, and say, God, I
mm.
have no idea what stories you're going to give me, but I know you're going to give me the best stories that will change young people's lives. And God would, if, at some point someone would send me an email, or I bump into some people having a different conversation, or I find someone. So obviously, as a journalist, you have to do a lot of research. So it's part of the job. And I worked hard. So I made sure that I had a stake on the table, not by having sex with someone, not by bribing someone, not by batting my eyelashes and looking all cute. Because unfortunately, we have young people or young women that believe that if I'm batting my eyelids and I look cute, I'll be able to get to where I want to be. No, I made sure that I got my stake on the table by being consistent, by making sure that, I was networking with the right people, and by working hard and staying relevant and current. So, that's also another hard thing. I always tell, and you and I are both good friends with Sane from SID Media, and we always say, content creation is an extreme sports like soccer, like rugby. It's serious on a mind level. You have to constantly stay relevant and current. So as a young person, every day we have to create content 365 days. Okay. So you have to be thinking of new content every single day. So the question is, are you prepared to give people content that will make a difference in their life for 365 days? Not necessarily. Sometimes you can have a once a week program, but make sure that that program is going to reach out to the right people at the end of the day. So staying current and relevant is also another key. And getting mentors within your field. Getting mentors. I know I am actively mentored by Femi Oke from Al Jazeera. And she's a hard one, man. She's a brilliant woman. But, let me give you a good example. One day she called me and she said, in her British accent, "Hi, Unique. So I'm looking for a brilliant young person who can interview Mo Ibrahim, who is one of Africa's billionaires." And, and in my head, I was like, "Oh, okay, no, I'll get you something." And when I cut the phone, I was like, "Wait a minute, she's testing me. I'm the brilliant young person. I don't want to pass this opportunity to someone else, And then I called her back quickly, and I'm like, Femi, I'm the young person
what
that
you
could
looking for?
So I think self-confidence is key. And I think Femi has played a pivotal role in, helping me become more self-confident in myself. Are you the brilliant young person we're looking for? And can you interview Mo Ibrahim? And it was a brilliant interview. So having confidence in yourself and really understanding why you're there is critical. So we talked about mentorship. Maybe I'll just stop right here and, if you...
Thank you. As you're talking, I am looking at, there's so many questions that are coming up that I want to ask you. But, you've mentioned many things that are critical for young people. One then asks, today, is there still space in media for hardworking young people? Because what you've just packaged for me is a hardworking young person who's after self-development. A young person who says, I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to, achieve. I look at our media today, and so my question is there still space for a young person who wants to get honest, clean work through hard work? All right, because you've just described clean work. Because bringing your stake to the table is clean work. It's not asking somebody else to do you favors. It's not looking for a pretty face where you're like, okay, I need to fix my nose, I need to fix my teeth, I need to be the right weight, because that's what our young people are after. They are driven by the latest car, and I'm not going to put anything down on on Bitcoin. Please don't get me wrong. But many young
Mm-hmm.
people are coming to me. They're like, ma'am, I want to invest in Bitcoin. I want to have money because by the
Yeah.
time I finish school, I want to do all those things because it seems to be working.
Mm,
And I want to have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to be a blogger, and I'm going to be all sorts of things. Is there still
mm-hmm.
space in media for a young person who wants to make it work for themselves and who want honest, clean work? Would you say there's still such? And while you're answering that, you spoke about content, you spoke about all this. Is there still space also for education for somebody who's going to go? Because you did development studies.
Yeah.
You didn't just get into media and be like, I just want to be in media. I'm gonna, you went and you worked and you found your niche, you found what you wanted. Is there
Mm,
still space, I mean, towards where we're going? Because we're crafting our young people, we want to help them
yeah.
pave their way towards the future. Is there still room for such?
Wow. Yes. So much room. So much
Hmm,
room, Zandi. And I just want to firstly go back to the first aspect you talked about, fast
hmm,
things. Young people
hmm.
of this day and age want fast things. They want instant noodles. They want, the quick takeaways. Okay.
Yes.
They want everything that's instant, instant,
Hmm,
instant, instant. And
hmm, hmm,
unfortunately, I think just going back to the word of God, God doesn't, well, because I'm a Christian, God has to take you through a sort of a refinery process. They has to
hmm,
be,
hmm,
they have to be stages in your
hmm,
life where you are, sort of learning, stage one to the initial stage. So let me tell you this: when Femi started mentoring me
hmm,
as a young person, I was like, I want to be on Al Jazeera, I want to be on BBC, I want to be on CNN, and she's like, honey, have you gone to your national broadcasting corporation, and how much do they know about you? And I was like,
hmm,
hold up, that's a very relevant point. So we
hmm,
want to have all these fast things in our lives, but are we learning the processes? Young people in this
hmm,
day and age
hmm, hmm,
don't
hmm.
want to deal with all the hard work that comes
Yeah,
with,
I know.
any,
I know.
they don't want to have a story to tell. They just want to wake up and they want to have 100,000 likes, and they want to
Oh,
be a blogger or a
yep.
YouTuber
And the
who
YouTuber. Mm.
you know and I always say this to my little sisters and all of that. They're like, oh my gosh, Unique, this person got like 100,000 likes, and oh my gosh, my Instagram just only has 5 likes. I
No.
really, and it's a sad thing, Zandi, that I have to say this. I'm really worried about our future in the
Mm,
hands of these young people, because young
mm,
people no longer care about the sentimental things. They just
um,
want to, they're happy with having 1,000 likes and
mm.
living this pretentious life. And I think that's a conversation for another
For another
time. But
day. That's true.
yeah,
I agree.
but I definitely do believe that there is space. I definitely
Mm,
do believe that so much has not been tapped into the media
mm,
industry. Let me
mm,
tell you, when I initially started, the youth talk show, there wasn't any platform where young people could express themselves. And then when we
mm,
eventually moved to digital and we started TV and radio,
mm,
on digital platforms, we started creating content that could make a difference in a person's life. So, for example, we started creating mental health shows. We started
yes.
creating
Yes.
digital wildlife conservation shows. We started
Mm,
creating legal shows. We started
mm,
creating, programs where young people could debate and talk
mm,
about the things that matter most to them. So, and you're
mm,
right, I did find my niche, because what
mm,
I then did was, besides having this development studies degree, I asked God and said, okay, so what am I going to do with this degree? Because I do want to get
mm,
into the media. And then God,
mm,
sort of guided me along the way. We had all
mm,
these NGOs or these different organizations or institutions making a big difference in communities and
mm,
writing all these research papers that no one was reading. one really understood because, there were
mm,
stats and it was qualitative and quantitative research. And what I did was to take the research papers and say, okay, let's create a youth talk show out of these programs. So, for example,
ah,
we had different organizations, for example, that are dealing with university students who are either taking drugs or who are having unprotected sex or who
mm,
have this blessa blessy thing that we've heard about,
oh, mm, mm,
yeah, and
mm,
we then created a young women's talk show where young women from different university institutions could come in a space where there are fairy lights, where there are cushions, where they're comfortable, and they could sit and say, look,
ah,
I'm dating a blesser because my parents cannot afford to fix my weave every other 2 weeks. And I'm asking them,
sure.
do you really need a weave every 2 weeks? But you see, these were now the real stories that were coming out from the
Mm,
research
mm,
papers, and we
mm,
were
mm,
unionizing them. I can give you
ah,
many examples of the concepts we've created, but there
mm,
is a lot of space. Um, the real question is, and it's something I've also been struggling with as a programs manager. If, for example, you go on Facebook right now, Zandi, or if you go on Instagram or YouTube, if you watch, I mean, I know on YouTube we have people that watch people play games and they get millions of views. Like, what's up with that? I don't even understand that. And then we have, for example, people that are fighting and they're shouting at each other. We have these celebrity rivals and all of that. People are watching in their thousands. But what I've also realized is educative content needs to be packaged in a way where it can be sexy and appealing and bright for young people. And I think that's where the difference is at the end of the day. If we can have more young people being able to sort of think outside the box and say, okay, so yes, I might not have this celebrity and this celebrity fighting on my page where I can get like 1,000, 1,000 views or any of that. But if I can create educative content, so think of a youth talk show where you're talking about God. How do you make it fun and interesting? It doesn't have to be the usual, boring conversations, but how do you make it interesting? Learn from what other content creators are doing. And I always say there's nothing new on this planet, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you learning from the next person. So, do a little bit of research. What is this person doing? How did they do it? How was they able to get all these views? Is their content colorful and creative enough? Because we're looking at, young people. And then we're also looking at you, obviously, finding out what people your target market really wants at the end of the day, so you can put out questionnaires on digital platforms. This is what I'm trying to do. What do you guys think? Would you rather have this or that? And it's really helpful at the end of the day, so that you can understand where your audience mindset is at. I think before also start creating your content, it's really about the target market. Which market are you looking at, and why exactly are you looking at that specific market, and why do you think that they'll buy into your content? And I think there is potential for young people in the media industry. Young people just need to start asking themselves the things that matter most. Does watching someone playing a video game for 2 hours matter more than me watching for example, something that has to do with mental health, something that has to do with suicide prevention? And I know there's this whole debate around, yeah, well, media, when we go on social media, it's an escape, so we really don't want to deal with the very heavy stuff. but sometimes young people aren't getting the right information anywhere really. I'll give you a good example of MTV Sugar, which is one of the most amazing TV series I completely adore and love. And what this series has done is it has sort of created a platform where young people can engage and start talking about issues to do with HIV and AIDS, but in a completely unconventional way. So I know every week they'll send a message and say, do you think this person and that person will get together? Do you think that she's pregnant? Do you think she used unprotected sex? Do you think they got tested before they went? What are the dangers of not getting tested, as we can see from the MTV Sugar program? So they have, instead of making it the usual, HIV and AIDS kills, we all know that, but and do not have unprotected sex, we all know that, but they've created a whole story um out of fighting against HIV and AIDS, and it's been brilliant, and it's been running for years now. I mean, I know I started watching MTV Sugar when I was probably about 12 or 13, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. Oh my gosh, this girl, she was struggling, and now she goes to this blesser. And so it's really how you package your content and how you will make a difference in your life through, and how you believe that that content will make a difference in the other person's life. So there is definitely hope for young people. And I think if young people just really slow down, and fine, I know Zandi was talking about Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is great. And I know I've had conversations with stockbrokers talking about the stock exchange market, why it's important. I'm actually thinking of investing in the stock exchange market, but a sort of a long-term investment. But it's important that how do you as a young person create content around the stock exchange market? Maybe you'll get one of these companies to invest in you, as you talk about the stock exchange, as you bring in stockbrokers to tell you a little bit about why investing is important and why it's not important. And of course, as young people, you shouldn't be limited to investing in one thing, right? So I know that I'm a development practitioner, okay? I know that I'm a documentary filmmaker. I know that I'm a digital content strategist. I'm also a concept strategist. So, in all these different facets, where I found my niche, I have also been able to say, and I'm also a moderator. So, you can get paid for your moderation. No one said you shouldn't get paid for, the Bitcoin, or you shouldn't invest in Bitcoin. But what else could sort of make a difference in your life? I often say that we were not just created to please ourselves or make ourselves happy. There's someone who says, when we look at the hashtag self-love, it sort of goes beyond making a difference in other people's lives. So sometimes the hashtag self-love that we have we've seen on the different platforms can be toxic, because sometimes self-love then sometimes drives us not to care about what other people want, or what are other people's needs. So as a young person, ask yourself, what sort of solutions can I bring into someone else's life? Because this is how we've had these entrepreneurs become so successful, these self-made billionaires. We're looking at, I'm coming down to like a Zimbabwean level. I know here in Zimbabwe we have Strive Masiwa. You can tell me how many you have also in South Africa. But we have these self-made billionaires, the Bill Gates, we have Mark Zuckerberg, we have Elon Musk. These gentlemen found solutions to
Mhm.
for the challenges that were within the community. So maybe it's important, young people, that you step back a little bit and say, it's not always about hashtag self love, Zandi, the self
I
love
agree.
hashtags that we
Uh,
always see,
oh,
but it's
yes.
about looking at the challenges that you could possibly address within your community. Is
Mm,
there
mm,
a water
mm,
crisis in your community? Are more young people committing suicide within your community? The more you try to bring, and this is a secret that young people usually, take for granted, the
mm,
more you try to fix solutions within
mm,
your specific community, or you try to help the next person,
mm,
investment usually is drawn to you. And
mm.
initially, when Mark Zuckerberg, started his business, it was really about, connecting people, bringing people together.
Yes,
I know
yes,
there's just been
yes,
so much
yes,
around
yes.
Facebook. And Bill
Mm,
Gates, when he brought in Microsoft, it was about, making a difference and making technology easier for people and helping people connect as well through
mm,
emails and
mm,
all of that. And now Bill
mm.
Gates has literally just started the Bill Gates Foundation, which is also
Yeah.
finding solutions in health.
Mm,
So if you
mm,
want to get into the media industry, ask
mm,
yourself, what are the problems within my community, within the region, the SADC region, within the
mm,
globe? And then how do I address these challenges as a young
mm,
person in the media
mm,
industry? This is what I strive to do on a daily basis. So
mm.
we last year we recently started a digital wildlife conservation program, because wildlife conservation is key. We have animals that are
Yes.
going extinct on a yearly basis. And
Mm,
a lot of people initially, not lots of people were tuning in, but now I can tell you we have over 5,000 tuning in live, during that program, because now they
mm,
really want to know what's happening with the white rhino. Or do we really have
mm,
two females left in Africa?
mm,
How can we address the challenge? We also
mm.
have another platform called the Health Trivia. How can I take care of myself if I have guava leaves at home? How can I use those to better my health? So
Yeah. Mm.
it's not always about just going on Facebook Live and say, hey guys, so what's up? How you
Welcome
guys
to my
doing?
channel.
Yeah. But it's really about, okay, guys, let's talk about suicide. This month is Suicide Prevention Month. What's really happening, guys? Why are we committing suicide? Do we not have any other solutions? And you bring in
Mm,
experts, talk about these issues. Let's
mm,
find solutions as we get into the media industry. Media is created to communicate, but ask
mm,
yourself, what exactly are you communicating? Zandi?
mm. One last thing, and then I'm gonna let you go. I just want to ask: is there uh, a place? Does it matter where you study for media? Does it matter which part of the world you study? And I'm asking this because I mean there are young people who are thinking, where am I going to study? My parents might not have enough money. There's so many other things. Does it matter, or what do you think would be the best for somebody who's saying, my parents don't have a lot of money,
Mm,
I'm not exposed to a lot. There's institutions around where I live that offer media, but I want to be the best. I want to earn, as much as I can. Does it really
mm,
matter where one goes and studies or where they attain their qualifications? Or is
mhm.
it really about, the work that they put in so that they can get recognition? And I'm looking at you, and I'm glad I for this. I mean, when I was speaking to Sane, because she's in the media industry, and she referred me to you, and I went and I looked at what you did, and I thought, man, and this is somebody all the way from Zimbabwe. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And you know how we get when we contrast South Africa to Zimbabwe. You know what I mean?
Yes,
We
yes,
when we think,
yes.
and
Mm,
I look at what you've done, and I look at the documentaries, and I look at what you continue to do, and I think to myself,
mm,
does it really matter where one studies? Does it what is there anything beyond that? And then we can wrap it up, and
mm,
and, and
yeah. Uh, I'm gonna be honest with you.
mm,
No, it doesn't really matter where you are coming from. I
mm,
think a support system is critical, Zandi. Okay. Obviously, I didn't get here by myself. I had people that believed in me and that propelled, my success in the media industry. I also, luckily, I didn't have too many men trying to hover around me and, try to bring me down as a female. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter where you're coming from. But I really urge young people, and this is something I actually just recently learned in the last few months. Sometimes all you need to do is ask, ask for mentorship, ask for guidance, ask to be at that set where you're just in the background and possibly, bringing people tea, and but you're watching as they're doing their magic, they're doing their thing, and they're making a difference. It doesn't really matter where you come from. I mean, look, I didn't go to any school to be a documentary filmmaker. I did my research, and I brought with me, or I called mentors in that film field where they could say, look, Unique, just come through and we'll show you how to work it. I'm not too much of a technical person, but I can produce and I have the vision. So, whenever you have the passion and you ask, sometimes it's really about saying, sir, I really love your work, or ma'am, I really love your work. Could I just please come and spend a day with you? Could I just come and shadow you? And young people are scared to ask, just ask. And, as God says, ask and it shall be given to you. Ask and, be in the right spaces. Sometimes investing is critical, Zandi. I know for my first training as a talk show host, I was being trained by a phenomenal woman who, is amazing in Zimbabwe. And I had to, sacrifice $30 that was between me and poverty to just spend a weekend with her so that she could train me, and it made a big difference, and after that, the person who owned the media house said, you have natural talent. How can we work together? And I can tell you, he's the first person that endorsed me, and, that then helped propel my career. So let's not be scared to ask as young people. Ask yourself why you want to get into the media industry. And I urge young people that let's not look at, the likes, the too many likes and the loves and the shares. Start by finding solutions in your community through media. Start sharing the stories within your community. What is the challenge? How can we bring solutions? And you will make the difference.
Thank you so much, Unique. I know our time also is not with us, but I want to have this conversation again. I want to believe that it needs to happen again. And so I think we're going to make it happen. And I don't know,
I'm more than happy
connectivity
to.
is doing things. So on a day where we will we need to continue with this, because you've kind of there's so many cliffhangers, that you've left us with, and I feel
Yeah.
we need to we owe it to the young people to actually come and have a proper TeenVersation with them in a platform where they can ask you questions, in a platform where they can, and maybe out of that will come a collaboration between South Africa and the teams
Yeah.
in Zimbabwe. It would be a great one,
Mhm.
and so you never know. So I really think we should have that. But one of the things that I think, if anything, that I've taken out of this, that whatever we do, we need to do it so that it makes a difference, that it makes a change.
So
And
important.
I'm a
So
firm
important.
believer in denting the world. If you just dent the world a little bit, don't leave the world like the way you found it.
Mm. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
what you challenged us to today is that we do exactly that. So I just want to promise the young people who are here with us today that we're definitely coming back. I'm going to get Unique back back, different conditions so that we are able to have a proper TeenVersation with her. Unique, thank you so much for joining. You can give us, your last parting words, and then I will
Yeah.
just offer a word of prayer for you, and then I will let you go.
Thank you so much, Zandi, and thank you to everyone who's joining us on YouTube and Facebook. I think lastly, Zandi, you just basically rounded it off, and I'm always asked, what do you want to be remembered for after you're long gone? I want to be that person that changed someone's perspective through the work that I did. It's not about 1,000 people. It's not about 1,000,000 people. But if someone can say, you changed my life by what you communicated on that day, and I have completely changed how I do things, you have changed someone. You have made a difference.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing, young people. Self-love is critical, self-confidence is critical, but let's balance out self-love with making a difference in the world, in your community, in your country, because at the end of the day, you were not created for your own, but you were created that people might see the goodness, that people might still have hope in the world, that there's love and there's peace through someone like Zandi or through someone like Unique. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. Thank you for those words. And we want to be the change that we want to see in the world, and may
Mm.
we move towards that direction. Let's have a word of prayer. And I'm grateful. Let me say that one more time. Thank you for coming through, Unique. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being willing to come here and tell us your story and share your story and impart words of wisdom. And my greatest desire is that out of this, one person, even if it's just one person, will say, out of this unique story, I decided to do something that's going to make a difference, or I became a better person, or I believed it was possible. So I went ahead and I did it. So may God bless you as you continue with the amazing work that you do, the amazing work that you do. And I don't think I can ever say that enough. So thank you for this. Let's close our eyes for a word of prayer before we go. Thank you, dear Lord, for this opportunity. Thank you for Unique's story. Thank you that she came here and she allowed herself to be an instrument in your hand. Thank you, Lord, that through this, I believe there's going to be young people who will walk away believing that it is possible and therefore they can do it. Especially young people from our African continent, especially our African children, that they know that they do have a part and a place in the world, that they don't owe anyone an apology for who they are, and that they've got permission from you, oh God, to shine. Thank you for her story once more. Bless her family, bless the work of her hands, bless all that she is yet to do. And I pray when all is said and done, her life will bring glory and honor to your name. Thank you for all the people who've managed to join us now and those who will join later. May they be blessed as well. We pray in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you very much, Zandi.
Thank you for joining us, Unique. May God bless you. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, everyone who has joined us today. And I pray that God will continue to speak to you, and that whatever you choose to do, you will do it, with the best of your ability. And whatever industry you choose to get into, especially if it's media. I mean, I think media has got such a huge impact on us today. If anything, many of the things that we now have that we use were influenced by the media. And so my prayer and my greatest desire that out of this, you have learned and you have seen that it is possible to do something that will make a difference and still earn a living out of it and make lots and lots of money, because if money is in the right hands, it will make a difference. So I pray that today has been an eye-opener for you. And so please go ahead, go and shine and dent the world. May God bless you, and may He add a blessing to this. Bye, everyone. See you next week.